Hello, greetings, fellow StarCrafters. PG.Milncraft here with game number, game number 2 between LiquidJinro, the red Terran player right here, and IMNestea, the blue Zerg right here. This map is Typhon Peaks, and those of you who watch the IMNestea. Hello, greetings, fellow StarCrafters. PG.Milncraft here with game number, sort of game number 2 and sort of game number 1 between the red Terran LiquidJinro. Right here in the bottom right corner, and the blue Zerg player IMNestea. The reason I say it's game number 2 and sort of game number 1 is in the last game, which if you watch the last game, it was against IMNestea, a teammate of IMNestea. But of course, it's not the same player. It's a different part of a match, and these are just kind of like public test games. It's not like for any tournament or anything like that. So view it however you want. IMNestea, I did talk about a little bit in the last game. He is a 2-time GSL Code S winner, and his Zerg versus Zerg and his Zerg versus Protoss are just absolutely impeccable. He's one of the best in the world. He absolutely just destroys those players, and it's extremely rare that he loses to a Zerg player in a match. He even loses a game to a match. He had a perfect score for the longest time, and only somewhat recently lost to Demaga in a very, very good match. If you've ever seen that, he only lost to him 2-1. He didn't get 2-0'd, but IMNestea did in fact. He is in fact beatable, and it's been shown that he's beatable. He obviously hasn't won every GSL, and his Zerg versus Terran is his worst match. And we can just talk about the previous match just a little bit. I noticed that, Jinro didn't go. He went very much a Marine siege tank 2 base push, but he kind of got hampered by his hard contain. Lucero was able to counterattack and kind of cut off his reinforcements. Seemed to throw Jinro off. He didn't deal very well with the harassment. He just had to pick up the expansion multiple times over and over and over again, severely delaying his economy and preventing him from really capitalizing and able to take advantage against the Zerg. And his bunker push ended up just being too slow, so his first push got just like taken out. So he decided to go for another one, just to see if he had a chance at being able to defeat Lucero, and he wasn't able to pull it through in the end. Looks like he is in fact. Okay, he's going to put that SCV there. The SCV will not in fact be able to block the drone. The drone is going to slide on in. Oh, actually the drone's on A-click command right now. And then he is going to put the supply depot down. Now that is after gas, so it looks like he will probably be going for a somewhat similar build as last time. He is sending a Marine over here, probably to do a little bit of damage on Typhon Peaks, which is the name of this map. It is such a large map that, generally speaking, Zerg players are going to hatch first, which means that sending out that early Marine, trying to pick off a drone, for example, is, just something that's useful to do, as there aren't going to be any Zerglings out there. And on top of that, the SCV can actually just start a bunker, either outside of the vision range of the hatchery or right inside the vision range. And what it does is it makes the Zerg player pull off drones, which actually you can see he is trying to build the bunker right now. But it makes Zerg players pull off drones, and looks like he is going to get that down, and now we're going to see some drones get pulled off, and that's going to hurt his economy just a little bit. All he has to do is start the build, and then he can just micro the Marine a little bit. Ideally, he gets a drone kill out of this as well, just to help make for low losses. And actually, he does have a second Marine now joining there, and he's already gotten one drone kill. Looks like that SCV is actually in a very solid position as well. So it is actually possible, although I would say still very unlikely to be able to finish the bunker, and in fact he is not going to be able to finish the bunker. But what it did is, he delayed the mining of all these drones, 6 drones, and it got a drone kill. And look, Jinro didn't lose anything. He only lost the bunker that he got to cancel, so it was only 25 minerals. So definitely a good trade on the part of Jinro, and it throws the Zerg player off a little bit. So it looks like he will be doing the exact same build as the previous game, the 1 bunker with 2 Marines into Reactor, which then became the Reactor Hellions and a Reactor Hellion Expand. Yeah, all off of 1 gas is, of course, since Hellions, don't take any gas, you don't really need an extra gas for those Hellions. So the Hellions will be able to move out. They did do a decent amount of damage in the previous game, and we'll see if they can kind of match that amount of damage. The damage didn't end up mattering in the end, as, Jinro failed in his containment attack, but certainly it helped him get ahead in the early stages of the conflict. And Jinro did have some very nice micro there with the Hellions in that previous game as well. And I should say some good control from the Marines in this game. Now it looks like he is going to move forward with the Marines as well, as he already has them in position, so no reason not to send them into the fight as well. The SCV could potentially start a bunker. I think it's possible, but a little bit unlikely that's going to be the case, as he can't really bunker anything that's really important. All it can do is really scare the Zerg player. It can also sort of give a little useful cushion, but the SCV is very close to being picked up as well. Looks like those Hellions are in fact going to get a number of Zerg kills. The Zerglings are fast as Marines though, and the SCVs are able to take up that SCV there, and the Hellions able to get up the rest of the Zerglings. Now they're going to be able to go up the Queen just a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to force Nestea to get a number of more Zerglings as well as Roaches. As you see, he got a relatively early Roach Warren to deal with his Reactor Hellions. And his hope is just that he doesn't lose very many drones. Part of it, nice snipe from the Queen, able to just whack that Hellion to death with his little, like, claw tentacle thingies. Looks like this Hellion actually does have 7 kills. A number of those are Zerglings, of course, which are only half a supply. Oh, that drone's at, what, 1 health? No, it's at 3 health, but I think that's all regenerated health. Looks like the Hellion is able to dodge the Queen. And not quite able to dodge the Queen. One last whack at it, able to take it out. Looks like Jinro is in fact transitioning into Marine Tank, just like in the previous game as well. It remains to be seen if he's planning for the same two factory timing push, rather. Not 2 factory. Oh, 2 base. That's the word I was looking for. I can't believe I couldn't say that right. I just kept mixing it up. Alright, 2 base timing push is the word I was looking for. He does only get 1 factories, or at least he did in the previous game, only get 1 factory. It allows him to get more infantry heavy and a little bit less on the factory. It also makes him do a little better with Mutalisks, although of course Mutalisks can still give him a little bit of a problem like they did in the last game as well. Nestea, meanwhile, seems to be content to layer up. He is getting a macro hatchery right there, and as I said, an early Roach Warren as well. Those Roaches are not going to be terribly effective against the siege tanks, but they are going to be effective against the Marines, as Roaches generally deal pretty well with Marines because of their armor and because of the fact that they have just so much health that Marines just have a hard time dealing with them in that respect. They also deal a lot of damage per shot and can take Marines out relatively quickly with their, acid spitting acid, really. Looks like Nestea is in fact going to stick to the Roach tech. He is getting Roach speed. He is not getting missile weapons. However, it is likely that he's going to be starting missile weapons as soon as the evolution chamber finishes. Actually, he goes for Zerg Carapace. That's interesting. That'll help him deal with the damage from the Marines, but it's going to make him less effective, typically speaking. But it will make his Zerglings better, I will add. So it helps both his Zerglings and his Roaches, so it doesn't commit him necessarily to Roach tech as much as a missile upgrade would. However, missile upgrades are also very useful in the fact that Roaches get a +2 bonus to attack. I hear... Oh, there we go. They are in fact just attacking the rocks. I was worried I was missing like a Hellion attack or something like that, but looks like he's just going to clear out the little back entrance in case he wants to expand up north, away from his opponent, which as the Zerg player, you almost always want to expand away from your opponent if possible, as it makes them walk farther in order to get you, and your force is much more mobile than theirs. Jinro is going to be setting up the siege tanks right about now. He is not going to have stim for this attack, but he does have combat shield, which can be incredibly useful. Looks like, Nestea is able to move in though. That's a lot of Zerglings, but I think actually Nestea is not able to clean this up. The Zerglings kind of lined up right there. They were able to take out the siege tank though, but it looks like Nestea's going to be in a little bit of trouble. He's got 8. No, he's got 13 Roaches on the way. 8 are about to finish though. And Nestea is going to try to avoid the combat for as long as possible. Jinro will be able to set up these siege tanks there, and these Marines are dealing a lot of damage to this hatchery. They will be able to take out the macro hatchery overall. The Roaches are spawning. Looks like he's going to move in and engage. The Zerglings are moving up and dying very rapidly to the Marines as well. So looks like the siege tanks are able to stay alive. The siege tanks are being real damage dealers against these Roaches. They are saving the day right now. Looks like those Marines on a little bit too much of an attack command right there. A couple of SCVs are moving up, hopefully able to repair the siege tanks. So looks like the siege tanks will be able to be sniped by the Roaches. That's going to lower the damage output from LiquidJinro by a large degree. However, 2 reinforcement siege tanks have now moved up and got into position, and even though he only has 3 Marines, it seems like, well actually, I mean, as soon as the Mutalisk pop, the attack is going to be over. Reinforcements will not be able to arrive in time. Also, there are a large number of Zerglings that will be able to move in, take out all of these Marines, and then actually a number of them are actually going to go straight for those siege tanks as well. And the siege tanks cannot engage close targets, so they will be taken out. And nice cleanup from Nestea. He even saved that macro hatchery. This is a very nice job on his part. Despite that bad engagement right here, he was able to pull it through in the end. It shows you the resilience of a Zerg player who is under fire from those kinds of attacks. Looks like he's moving back up just to make sure he's able to spot any future attacks that are coming from LiquidJinro. LiquidJinro is also setting up to take a 3rd base. He is also very concerned about getting adequate numbers of gas, as he actually put SCVs on gas early. A little bit of a mistake there, but I guess he just wanted to make sure he had them right away. He is getting a starport as well as 2 more barracks right now. It's going to put him at a total of 5 barracks, and a 2nd factory looks like he's going to be going down as well. So he's going to be producing siege tanks at twice the normal rate, unless he transitions into something like Blue Flame Hellions, which I think to be just a little bit unlikely because of the large number of Roaches that Nestea seems to be using in his army compositions. However, since Nestea doesn't have any more Roaches, they were all taken out in the first attack, and I believe it's possible that he could be going to Blue Flame Hellions. We do have 9 Mutalisks here, able to finish, or going to be able to snipe these builders, which can prevent the barracks from going down. There are a couple of Marines here which are going to probably be able to scare away these Mutalisks. The Mutalisks could maybe take those Marines, but they'd lose almost all of their number, and that would just not be a good trait on his part. So Nestea's going to be a little bit more careful with his Mutalisks than Lucero was, and try to maintain them. Meanwhile, it looks like Jinro is going to be able to maintain this expansion. He's going to want to put up a couple of missile turrets here, as he will not be able to keep Marines there forever in order to be able to protect it, and missile turrets are quite good against Mutalisks, as I'm sure anyone will tell you. Now, it is worth noting that roaches could come up here and try to snipe the missile turrets, but specifically that missile turret, because it is so close to the coast, but that would be kind of a long way to walk. They do have roach speed, but I don't think he actually even has any roaches, does he? He actually does not have any roaches. Nestea has opted against the roaches, and in fact he is getting melee attack now, which shows you that the time for roach tech is over. He does have a lot of Mutalisks though, 14 Mutalisks right there. And it looks like they see the Marines, they see the missile turrets, and decide not to engage. He's trying to look for some sort of beneficial place he could engage. This would probably be his best bet right here. There are 2 missile turrets, however. This one can easily be repaired by new SCVs harvesting in the mineral line, but there are reserve Marines right here. I'm not sure if Nestea is aware of those, but he might guess that they are available and able to engage him. Now, I think if we go to the income tab, Jinro does have 61 SCVs right now. It seems a little bit low at this point in time. It's possible he cut SCVs in order to be able to push out a little bit earlier with his little early attack that he was engaging in. Nestea, meanwhile, has secured a 3rd base. He's probably going to be looking to take a 4th relatively soon, as he wants to try to stay ahead of Jinro on bases. However, in the previous game, he did seem to be content to stay on the same number of bases for a long period of time, so it's entirely possible that is part of his plan as well. Going to pick off 1 SCV there. The cost of only 1 hit, and he forces him there. That's going to drain just a little bit of energy off of the medevac, and it's always going to keep medevacs on as little energy as possible, unless you're playing against Protoss, in which case you kind of want them in the middle energy level, because you don't want them to be able to get taken out by a single feedback. At least not always. Sometimes you want them at full energy. Depending on, of course, what kind of tech your Protoss opponent goes. Nice little wall here from LiquidJinro. He even has turrets on the outside able to protect basically all of these buildings here, and a bunker right here, which means that circling run-bys are just not going to be very effective in harassing this base. You know, there's 2 ways to kind of deal with it. One method of dealing with it would be getting a planetary fortress at this base. He's decided against that. Instead, he's getting a supply depot wall. And a supply depot wall up here is also preventing any sort of zergling run-bys. Very nice defense part of Jinro. He's going to have to lower these supply depots. Actually, the Marines can filter in through underneath that supply depot. I don't know if that was intentional or not. But either way, they were able to get through and stop the sniping of the engineering bay. Actually, this engineering bay is in a relatively vulnerable position as a result of the fact that it's right on the edge. It's very difficult for Marines to be able to engage any sorts of Mutalisks moving out here. And looks like Jinro has decided to, siege tank. Will lose 1 siege tank there at the cost of a Mutalisk. Definitely a good trade on the part of Nestea, though, as he can replace Mutalisks a lot easier than siege tanks can be replaced, especially when Jinro wants to build Thors as well. He is taking this watchtower. It's a nice forward position, able to protect all of his bases fairly well from that position, and he can't really get flanked as a result of the Zeldnaga watchtowers and the relatively small pass. It looks like, oh no, Nestea does not want to be engaged in there, losing a lot of Mutalisks. Wow. Yeah, that was very painful for Nestea. If we go to the units lost tab, he is now 3,000 minerals behind units lost. That is a lot of minerals. His income has been higher for the majority of this game. However, you still want to be engaging in cost-effective engagements. You don't want to be engaging in places where you're going to lose a lot of Mutalisks, only to a couple of medevacs. I think most likely he just had them not on hold position. And then this attack is now going to come from LiquidJinro's attack is going to be